I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there more things attached to that agenda request?
Yes,
Yeah, there were
Casper, a
none.
whole bunch of last minute things in.
Oh, okay.
Are these all Testi's first five, or like the same thing, aren't they?
She told me those, oh, you know what? I bet she made copies for everybody instead of just one to put on there.
Here, I'll take these out so
Okay.
it's not confusing.
Maybe pass it.
We've already got them.
No, that's
Is that right?
another, I bet it's another one then.
Yeah.
Those are for
Is there two
next
of them?
week.
Okay.
Okay, and I bet she, yeah, just didn't realize we don't need all those copies.
Well, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections or changes?
I'd like to amend it
Okay,
and move the highway department building discussion item up to, after the EDA meeting. So we can include Brian while he's here in the discussion instead of having him wait all that time, if that's okay.
so, but he's here at 9:15 and you want
Right,
to...
but
What's after 10
there's all
o'clock?
that stuff, and so we have to wait for that public hearing, because that has to happen at 10. So we'll do it right after that. And then
Okay.
Bob's not here today, and so Rick is going to come in, and at our committee meeting, he said he'd be okay with us just letting him know if there's an open spot before that, and he'll come in.
Okay,
Is that a motion?
yeah, make a motion to approve it
Okay,
with those
that's my
changes.
motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes from last week.
Here, you see,
We didn't have a meeting
Yeah.
last week, so it would be actually 2 weeks ago.
you see the addition?
Is there a new one?
Move to approve the minutes?
Second.
You saw this close, right?
When's that?
Further
Next
discussion?
week?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Whoops, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Public comment period. Anybody wish to address the public? Reminder, no personal attacks. Just Yvonne or Kelly. No? Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Thank you.
Brian, you're up a little early this morning here.
Or maybe, and what's possible there? That one's.
Goodness sakes.
3:30.
Oh. Good thing it's at our back.
I have several items I'm requesting approval on today. The first item would be a pavement patch on, it's the old alignment for County Road 7, which is now Crabback Drive. County Road 7 was realigned several years ago, and at that time, the old part of County 7 was renamed Crabback Road, and the roadway was never turned back to the township, so that roadway still has a short section that's under the jurisdiction of the county. I've spoke with the township about possibility of turning it back and trying to get a few minor upgrades made to that roadway so that way it's ready to go back to the township. So we replaced the culvert and we have the pavement patch to go along with that to be done now. So I'd like to do that before winter. I got 2 quotes on patching the gravel section now. One quote was from Clutch Paving for $2,000. The other quote was from Matthew Construction for $3,930. So I'm going to recommend that the board approves Clutch Paving for $2,000 for the patch on Crabback Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? After we're finished with it, it will be turned back to the township?
My plan is to start that process this winter and go
Do
through it.
we have the
you know.
public hearings, or does the township have them, or joint, or?
It needs to be done with The county needs to host the public meeting, I believe, but it needs to be done within the township that the roadway's in, so it needs to be done within Hooka Townships. So
Okay.
we'll probably need to post it to be done.
And they know about this, they've been anticipating
I
it?
met with them, yep, and, you know, I mean, they'd obviously like to have the county keep paying to maintain and you know, deal with that roadway. At the same time, they understand that it's.
But it's
not really
actually a
county
township
property.
road.
Yeah, I mean, it turns into a township road, you know, it's just a few houses off of it.
Okay.
It should be a township road.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next item I have is right-of-way plat number 58, which is project SAP 28-598-009. This is for the replacement of a bridge on County Road 249, right down near the intersection of County State Aid Highway 32. So it's about 2.5 miles east of Caledonia. I can get approval on the plat and the resolution.
Move to approve?
Second?
Further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Next item is an agreement with MnDOT for project SP 28-599-077. This is for a project on Charlie Drive in Sheldon Township. The project has been approved to receive federal funds in 2016. In order to get this project done in advance of 2016, we need to go through a process, have an agreement between the state and the county that essentially we're going to use local and town bridge money to pay for the project, and then in 2016 we'll get reimbursed. The anticipated funding at this point is to essentially be all state aid money being used, so there's not going to be really a county impact or a township impact. The reason why we don't want to wait till 2016 is it's a narrow bridge, posted at 5 tons, dead-end roadway, and the abutments are actually tipping in. The bottom is getting pushed in. So there's some stability concerns with that bridge that we need to monitor it. The state's recommending looking at it every week. And we don't want to be doing that for the next 2 years. So.
We don't want a bridge collapse in the
So
county.
the plan on this project actually is to, hopefully today or tomorrow, the state will get back to us and say that we can proceed with advertising as long as this agreement's in place. As soon as we get that notice, we are gonna advertise and try to build this project this winter. We're not even gonna wait till next spring.
And that's a good
It's at
idea.
that point we want to get off the systems, so.
Kind of a safety issue more than
Very,
anything.
yeah. And being a dead-end roadway, you know, it's any large vehicle, you just can't get back in there, so.
Mhm.
I move to approve the agreement?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
3 copies to sign.
Okay, the next one then would be a grant agreement for project SAP 028-603-022. This is an agreement with the state of Minnesota to accept the state of Minnesota bridge bond funds in the amount of $290,623.25. So essentially, if you want to agree with this, it's the standard agreement from the state. We have 2 options: either we accept the agreement, we get the state money through bonding, or we use our own state aid account to pay for it. So,
Oh, what a choice.
so I recommend approving this bridge local bridge replacement program grant agreement.
Motion to
Okay.
approve.
I'll second.
And it'll have the right number on the grant, right? On that, we have 603-22.
Yes, 603-022.
Yeah, we don't have a 0. I just wanted to make sure that it was put on that it was the right number.
Yeah, they used to kind of ignore the zeros instead of the 028, 022, and they used to just go with the
Mhm.
2-digit number, but now they want to go with the full 9.
Lots of signatures. Oh my gosh.
And the final item I have is final contract with Bruning Rock Product for project number SP 028-602-012 and SP 028-616-004. What this is, it's those two roadways had some gravel off the shoulders that got washed away during the 2013 floods. So we estimated how much gravel it was going to take to get everything repaired. Had the contract in place with them. Last year we just didn't get around to doing it till this summer because of our other workload with other repairs. The original contract was $54,693.30. The work certified is $68,117.13. So we went over by $13,500 over the original estimate. And this was a tough project to estimate just because the depth of aggregate was washed off. Some places was 2 inches, some was 4 inches, some was 2 feet wide, some was 4 feet wide. So we are working with the state on getting approval for them to pay for the overrun. Something we really didn't have a choice over. We had to do it, whether it's local or the state. So.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
That one's, yeah. Okay. Okay. But Teresa could sign. Yeah.
Well, do we want to move, we are way ahead of time. Do you want to move your highway thing now? Do you want to wait till after the public hearing? Want to see if Rick is available?
Yeah,
Or
we can
Tess?
call.
One of the two.
Oh. Mark is here, we can do Mark quick.
Oh,
Okay.
we'll do Mark then.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, we could move Mark up.
9:45.
Sure.
can walk down there.
Okay, fantastic. Come.
Keep things moving.
You have these right away, I kept a copy. Oh, the resolution. Okay.
Do I fill in the date
You
and
can,
time?
yep. 7th day.
Are they coming with less money this time?
What's that?
Did they drop their prices or anything?
It's just a continuation, so it's like a 2.5% increase
Brian.
the first year and then 0 for the second, 0 for the third, so we negotiate a little bit. I tried to get that for 5 years, but I couldn't quite do that. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Like Shar has, do you have the contract here, Shar, for the CBM?
It's a little, because there's only 6 sheets.
A lot of paper here. We dig.
But different.
Here we go.
There is no language change in the contract. All it is the contract reads, our contract expires in October of this year, which is this month, for the first 3 years. And we did was we just negotiated with another 3-year contract. They came up with a plan of 2.5 for the first year increase, 0 for the second, and 0 for the third.
You're talking percent, right?
Percent, yeah. So that's the, I want to try to get a 5-year contract that way, but they didn't want to go that way.
So a 2.5% increase over the next 3 years is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, so, which is, I think is pretty reasonable. Yeah, they provide meals for the inmates, 3 meals a day, 2 hot and 1 cold. Cold breakfast, hot lunch, hot supper. Meet the DOC guideline standards. Pretty good company to work with.
Where are they out of?
They're out of Dakotas, I think Salt Dakota.
Okay.
Could we see a sample of like a menu of what they're getting? People ask what they're getting. Yeah, I can send you that. It's what it is, it's a 4-week cycle.
Yeah.
Every 4 weeks, it goes back to the same cycle again, so it changes.
So if they're out of the Dakotas, do they send it like frozen, or how do?
No, they just buy it, they have it shipped in on trucks,
Oh,
bulk, and then we have a cook in the kitchen that makes it out. So.
Oh, so it's just where the food's generating from, but they're not actually doing the cooking or anything?
Yeah, the cook does it.
Yeah.
But actually, the food gets shipped in locally, even like La Crosse and stuff, they buy stuff, or different vendors.
Sure.
You
The main
heat it
company's
up-
in
You
Dakota.
heat it up here?
Yeah, the main company is in
It's
Dakota.
like freeze dried or microwave or?
No, it's regular
Oven.
baked meals, pastas and, hamburgers and hamburger items and sandwiches. And, yeah, I'll send you guys over a menu.
I'd like to see
Yeah. If you're ever interested in eating.
Yeah, just do something wrong.
that. Just do something wrong.
Yeah. So I'm just asking
No
for a
thanks.
continuation of CBM Food Services. We haven't had no
Yeah.
problems with them.
I'll motion that we continue with the CBM contract.
Second?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. Then I'll get 3 contracts and then I'll have Jamie sign off on
Yep.
it.
Hey, Mark, do you just want to get a copy of that to Shar and then she can
I can
Absolutely.
email it
email
out.
it out
Yep.
to all of
Yep.
us? That'd be
Yep, we'll do
great,
that.
thanks.
Thank you. I'll be back with Tess.
Okay.
Well, maybe don't go too far, Tess can come now.
Huh? Brian, yes, I did, yep. Yeah, Brian was gonna
Brian's
tell
gonna-
them.
Okay.
Or I'll email them too, I guess.
Did everybody see the claims? Human service
Yeah,
and licensing?
Signed on.
Go for a motion to approve them.
Move to approve the claims, human services, and license center disbursements.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
When Tess is in here, maybe we could discuss the courthouse or and the old jail issues where they're at.
See if she has any updates on it.
Yeah.
One other item of discussion I forgot to bring up, and talk to Michelle about after we go over it, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We've been housing inmates for Fillmore County and Winona County now. Just kind of give you an update. So now we're starting to board some in. I think we got right around 8 inmates for Winona right now. We had 1 for Fillmore, they just released them yesterday, but Fillmore County made it sound like they're gonna be sending some more over here in the near future, so they just need some help over there as well.
What's our population?
We've been running between 22 and 28.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
we need to keep that 30 mark for the staffing plan that we have, so.
Any La Crosse inmates?
Haven't seen that done yet, so that contract's still back and forth between our county and their county, so.
Mm.
Is it in their hands or ours right now?
That I don't know.
Okay,
I think it's still in their hands yet,
okay.
so, last I heard, so.
Well, that's a good thing that we're helping
Yeah.
our
Helping other
neighboring.
counties out,
Yeah,
neighboring counties.
right. Okay.
I checked some other things that go over.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Sorry I
Good
was
morning.
detained. We just have 2 very brief items here today. As you know, a while ago, we had a resignation of one of our half-time jailers, which we were very pleased to see him be able to take care of the opportunity he had before him, but it necessitated us having to fill that .5 need. So what Mark and I got together and discussed the best way to do this and determined that we would do an internal search of existing half-time staff to see who was interested in going to a full-time position. I know this does necessarily add to the county's cost because our percent responsibility for health benefits, if the individual elects, does increase. So it does come at an increased cost, but not an increased cost in the hourly wage. However, these folks are professionals within their fields that come to us these days, and we do have a retention issue, I believe, going forward. So I think this is in the best interest of the county for us to have full-time staffing here. So with that in mind, Jordan Rooker came to the county as a half-time FTE from, I believe it's somewhere in Eau Claire, with considerable experience there in as a jailer. And so we're recommending, effective this current pay period, if we could change his status from .5 to 1.0 FTE.
That'll get us back up to the same FTEs that we had originally set.
It doesn't increase our FTEs at all. It just puts us back at full staffing.
I'll make a motion to approve that change.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And, and then we're very pleased that Human Services is recommending the change of employment status of Lisa Arneson, from probationary to regular, effective tomorrow.
So moved.
She comes
Second.
with,
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
that's all I have for you, Commissioners.
Nope, we're gonna,
Oh, we want to talk to you about the, anything on historic jail?
I had, you had your name, oh, I thought you had name tags were switched, excuse me, I was gonna say. You're fine.
Get over it. Oh, that's sharp.
What's this?
No, that was just me. It was just a moment you were shifted to the side a little bit. I am in conversation with MCIT. I had mentioned to Commissioner Walters yesterday. It's not looking terribly promising that they're in agreement with us. However, we're still in that conversation. So I am going to do some verify that the deposit does not reflect a acceptance necessarily of their final bottom line, so that the auditor may go ahead and make that deposit, and I will try to get that to you today. It doesn't have any restrictive language on the back on the endorsement as some that would indicate otherwise, but I am looking at all the trying to get their policy manual on what that means, as we don't really have that information. But we did, the heat went in yesterday, did install one of those temporary heaters, and that's all the information I have for you.
Where are we at with grants for this building?
We have not received a rejection, so we're still in the mix, and I'm waiting. They have our final, there was a preliminary process that we did complete. Then we went into the final process, and that's where we're at right now. It's a little slower than I'd like to see it, but we're still in the mix.
And I haven't made any announcements at all?
Not on any of them. So
we would have heard a rejection, though, if it had been rejected in the preliminary.
You know, Commissioner, being that this is the first time through this for me as well, I can't say that for certain, but I can say I know we haven't received a rejection, so
Okay.
we're, to the best of my knowledge, we're still in there. I know there is, you know, from the folks that came down and spoke to you, there was a lot of interest. You know, and going forward, believing that this building, as well as the one next door, had value historically. So we'll see. I will try to find out exactly what their date is and try to email that out.
Are there any things that we need to attend to with this building before winter?
No, we're keeping them patched. I mean, I think we did a roof patch just very recently, and you know, the back steps are rough, but there's short of replacing them. There's not much we can do. We are keeping on top of all that. Our HVAC is in excellent condition. We will be having a walkthrough
If this,
each weekend to
if
make
this-
sure there's no busted pipes or anything like that.
if this big grant doesn't go through, is there any chance that we could do a fast track to get our steps fixed? Would that come under fast track or not?
You mean fast track with them or?
No, they have so many grants that go up fast track all the time, that are quick, smaller grants, $10,000 ones.
Oh, a $10,000, yes, we can apply for that. You know, several years ago, the county did receive a $10,000 grant and repaired them as such. But, yes, we would submit one of the smaller.
I mean, I just feel like they're in such poor repair that.
They are, and it'll be about, trying to remember, I think the best estimate was about $40,000. Because they have to all come out, and we have to have new footings and all put in.
Okay. Well, we'll all keep our fingers crossed.
And 10,000 would go, you know, that would be a nice contribution towards
Well, and
that.
10,000 could even take care of, I know, another temporary fix, and then we keep applying for the big grant.
Well, the temporary fix that was used last time was that coating you saw on it, and the problem is the footings need to be, they will keep pulling apart.
Right.
And there's not much, and whatever we patch between those crevices will certainly crack because of the way they're sinking to one side, have sunk to one side.
I just wondered about liability for people coming in and out of those doors. I mean, would it help if we had a sign, you know, watch your step or something like that as far as liability?
I don't think that they're really
I don't know that,
bad enough that, I mean, they're steps and they're hideous looking. I mean, they're looking kind of
the
shabby.
railings are solid, I mean,
Yeah.
they're solid. Certainly, we'd want different railings once we redo it because there is a better way of doing them. But they aren't,
They don't appear dangerous to me.
I don't believe, and we've
Mhm.
had, you know, we do our walkthroughs with MCIT,
Okay.
and they haven't pointed that out as they aren't a slip risk, that's the good news. They're very rough,
Yeah.
so they are not a slip risk, which is the biggest, one of the biggest issues you have with regards to old steps and things.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Did give official notification. To the board, didn't we? They didn't meet.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? That's-
Mark was, no, we didn't. I don't believe we ever, because this happened so fast, Mark, excuse me, Zach Swedberg is the employee who submitted his resignation, and I don't think that was ever in the public record. And that was right before your,
Tour.
the tour, so things got a little off track. So you may want to formally accept Mark Swedberg's Zach Swedberg's resignation.
Yeah, I can hardly hear you. That's okay. I think I got the gist of it.
Okay, so we need a motion to accept Zach Swedberg's resignation. I'll move that.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
He has left and started the other job already, but it's nice to have him on record.
Can't recall him.
He's patrolling Kelowna now, so
Oh, really? Okay.
just came around town here.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rick?
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm here on behalf of Bob for the Planning Commission. There was 2 hearings. They had that Thursday night, Joel and Tricia Betcher, Black Hammer Township, to build a house on less than 40 acres. And also Hidden Bluffs Resort is expanding the campground down on the other side of the road from where the main campground is. The first one, to build a house on less than 40 acres, there was some concern that was addressed at the meeting. Things as speeds and traffic and different things, but it's a dead-end township road. There are several neighbors there in support of this going also. So the planning commission did pass the permit. And then also with the campground was the same thing. After going through it and looking at mapping, the flood maps and FEMA maps, it was just where they're expanding is out of the flood zone, and it's probably about 5 to 6 additional campers are going to be located there. Sewer is going to be collected in holding tanks, and they'll have electric and water there also. And there was no opposition to that at all.
So it didn't need any special state or DNR type permits?
That they'll have to go through the public health department with plans to put sewer and water in,
Okay.
but no, it didn't.
So that's where it would go next?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And the planning commission, like I said, recommended approval. The only thing they put on both of them, is conditions of all federal, state, and local permits be obtained and followed under both of them.
That's pretty standard now to
Did
add
Betchers,
that.
did Betchers pay up their fees? I had a gentleman call me last night, said they were building without paying it.
No, they're all taken.
Okay, he was concerned about, they were building already.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what we were under, what we understood is that they were clearing some of the ground and they were moving some ground where the house is gonna go. Which you can move up to 5,000 yards without permits in an ag district. So there's nothing really we could do. I mean, as far as if he is
I
moving dirt
just
to the house.
thought I'd ask, he told me to, so,
Yeah.
no problem.
Rick, do you know what that, there's one on here for Craig Olson in Union Township administratively denied. That one is not going through then? Is that what that's indicating to us?
Right, the office denied the permit.
Okay.
My understanding, Bob was down there with the Soil Conservation Service, and what they wanted to do was put the structure on the banks of the
Damn.
retention structure, dam.
Oh. Sure. Okay.
And the Soil Conservation Service was not,
Doesn't allow that.
Not a good idea.
no.
No.
There's, my understanding, there's other locations where that structure could go, so they administratively denied the application.
When they did, Sheldon, what's his name, Matt?
McElhenney?
Yeah. He's building a movable one now. Is that in the area he talked about before or in the other area that was recommended? Do you know?
I would have to have Bob.
I was
talk to you
just
now.
curious if he was going forward with which site.
I'd have to have Bob talk. I
Okay.
do not know.
All right, thank you.
Did you
wanna
hear
just
about
put
it,
that
Dana?
one on hold till next week, Judy, or something?
No, I'm sure that they checked it out. I was just curious as to where.
Yeah, because that's a good point, because that doesn't specify if they went to the new site or the old site or what, yeah, right.
Is that
And we
the
didn't really
hydroponic
say
stuff?
that
Yeah.
they couldn't go to the
Do you-
old site.
do-
We just said they
We-
couldn't do
I
something
remember we-
at the old
You
site.
approved
Right.
the, you
So
They
approved,
moved
Right.
across the road, yeah.
yeah, you approved the going on, I'm assuming, well,
I
like I
assume
say,
they
I'm
did.
just assuming.
We didn't
And
talk
everything is
about
across
that.
the road from what the old site
We
was.
told them to move it across.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we need several motions here on each,
Mhm.
separate ones for each of the conditional use permits, and then one for the zoning permits.
We can do one for the conditional use altogether.
Okay,
if you want.
I move to approve the conditional use permits,
Second. Oh, sorry.
further
Okay.
You gonna say
discussion?
something
just the names, but she's got that.
else?
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Okay. And then the zoning permits.
I move to approve the zoning permits with the exception of Craig Olson, number, is it 4265?
Yep. Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one question. When it says after the fact, do they have to pay a fine because they're after the fact?
Triple.
or-
Fees triple.
Triple the
Okay.
fines.
And what about, does that happen then too when they're changing the use of the church into a dwelling? Does that come, after the fact too?
No, they went through what that was is where Jehovah Witnesses
Yeah.
used to have the church there.
Yeah,
They went through a zoning process. They changed the zoning on the parcel so that they could, change it into a house now.
okay.
That's what that's
How
about.
come they're doing that now? Wasn't it done before? I thought at some point it had already come through.
They changed the zoning and everything on it.
Oh, okay.
And the platting, they had to do some platting there too.
Okay.
That was part of our new zoning ordinance that we adopted a couple months ago, the triple the fee
Yes, for after the facts, yeah.
after, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Rick?
No. Unless you got anything, or
Or you have a very good day now?
hopefully. Thank you. Are those
Oh,
signed? I
Did
can
you
take
guys
ours.
all want to say happy birthday?
You want?
Rick's birthday.
Rick's birthday today.
Okay, can we get what we
And
need?
Teresa's.
We'll bring 'em
Oh,
up.
okay.
Really? Cool. Happy birthday, Rick
Well, thank you.
and Teresa.
Thank you.
I now qualify for the Social Security.
They don't give that out until you're older. You're only like 40, 45?
At least.
See, twice, right?
Oh.
Not quite that old.
Jeez. No, you hit 40 twice, right? He hit it once, and now he's doing it again, right? Not 40 times 2.
Oh, that's how we took it.
No, it's his second 40th birthday. No?
Okay. Why don't we go through frac sand issue updates? Justin, you want to give it this week?
Well, the only, we had the committee meeting yesterday, and things went well. The committee chose to have a few representatives from some of the already existing mines, whether it be aggregate or sand, to come in. We were stuck on a few issues. One of them, Brian brought up, what is the best way to measure the amounts taken out, whether it's tons or yards. And so we were kind of going back, and there's conversion charts for either one, but we wanted to try and keep everything, I guess, the same across the board. So we wanted to make sure that we were on par with what the industry's currently doing. So we brought him in to answer some of those questions and try and get a handle on what's currently going on, so we make sure we're not stepping on anybody's toes for any current businesses that are already conducting aggregate and sand mining here. So did that, went very well, had a lot of questions answered. Other than that, things are still moving forward. We're getting down to the final part of the ordinances. So I would expect in the next few weeks to a month, we should be kind of to the end, have something ready for Jay to review, and then come back for public hearings or something like that. So things are moving along smoothly. I think it's a good committee. Everybody gets along. Everybody plays kind of devil's advocate to everybody else to poke holes in people's theories to make sure that it holds water. And we try to look at a lot of different avenues and make sure that we're doing the best for everybody. So it was well. Anything else you want to add, Teresa?
I did bring up about possibly after, when you get the draft back from Jay and he cleans up our language a little bit, that we have a public comment period similar to what the state does for projects, 30-day public comment period. We had even talked about doing them in person, but we haven't actually come to a decision on either one because it was the end of the meeting. But we thought that might be a better idea to have some things to talk about before we have the planning commission public hearing and then our board meeting public hearing.
And it was brought up, one of the things is kind of like how the EAW does it, where you have like a 30-day written comment period or whatever that people have concerns, they can come back to us. So
But more of a listening for us.
Yep, so then we can, if people poke holes in the ordinances, or whatever, it kind of helps us make sure that it's watertight.
That we didn't miss something.
Yep, and then we'll go to the final ordinance and get the final draft and do that, and then we'll go to the public comment for the final draft, so.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's going good. We're hoping to be done in October.
It's here.
This year,
Yeah.
we
It's
have to be
October.
done, you know.
Yeah, by the end of the month, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking at sending it off to Jay like beginning of November?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the goal.
He has he only openings, he has to review it as the first 2 weeks of November, or else we have to wait till January, and that's
Wow.
getting too tight for us.
Yeah.
Not-
But fairly tight ordinance?
Yeah,
Very.
yeah, there's still some spots that we gotta polish out, because there's
Yeah.
some areas of concern, but overall, it's,
Pretty restrictive.
Mhm.
yeah, and I would say, looking at it in its entirety, it's very
Mhm.
good for what it is. But like I said, there's some areas that we gotta polish out and discuss yet that we haven't gotten to, so we'll do that in the next week or two, but, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
You got the density down, I heard?
That's
Well,
where we ended yesterday with
Yeah.
Rick said it
on
was
for next
one.
time.
Yeah, we still gotta discuss that a little bit at the beginning of the meeting.
There's some controversy.
Yeah, not necessarily controversy, but just open up for discussion. At the end of this meeting, there's only like 5 minutes left in the meeting. We kind of said, we're not gonna try and tackle that with 5 minutes
Yeah,
left.
it's a
So,
big-
yeah, we'll start the next meeting with that, but yeah,
Mhm.
so should be good.
And did,
What's that?
okay, thank you. Okay, how about some commissioner reports? Dana?
Yeah, I had 3 meetings last week, EDA on Wednesday, and water planning Thursday morning, and extension meeting on Thursday night with Teresa. Have a lot of good things going on, and
Can you kind of tell us what you guys are doing
what's that?
I'm
Like-
sorry.
on your water conservation?
Water planning, we're talking about the watershed plan, and we're you know, like you pointed me to that board, and working with Ann on the, she's going to most of the meetings and let me know when. We have 2 votes in our area, which is a big thing for us, and we have a lot of input on what's gonna go on with the one watershed. That's the big issue. We talked about the Rick was there and gave us an update on the frac sand committee. And the extension, I'll let Teresa talk. Do you take notes on that?
Oh, yeah, I
We're trying to
know
get some
me.
new members. Their term limits, a couple of them are up, and they're looking for new people, and
Mhm.
and they give reports on what the extension agent, the 4-H guy is doing, and then the guy who's filling in for Jerry Tessmer. He's doing a very good job. I'm pretty happy. But I think he's only got 1 month left, Teresa.
Mhm.
And that-
And then, is Jerry working part-time still?
He's working part-time in Fillmore County,
Not here.
but right now he has to go in for more treatment, so he's even
They don't know.
doing very little there too.
He's gonna have some more treatment, so.
I just wondered where that was at.
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air yet. But
Def-
the regional director has it under control
Yeah.
totally, so.
The guy who's filling in for Jerry doesn't cost us. They're paying. The U of M pays for his, so.
Okay. I just saw the amounts and stuff in our packet, you know?
In the budget?
No, in what we paid.
Oh,
in
yeah.
You know, it had the different amounts for that, and I was just wondering where we were at with services and stuff.
It's not costing us any more than if Jerry was
Mhm.
here.
Right.
That's about it for me.
Well, Justin had a big meeting this week at the hospital.
In the hospital.
Was it a long meeting?
It was, yeah, it was, total activity was like 30 hours.
Oh,
But it was long, but yeah,
But worth it in the end.
yeah.
Mhm.
Long night still, but yeah, that was good.
It'll only be for 18 years, so
Yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so no, it was good. It was a fun, exciting weekend, so.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah, and I attended the Southeastern Minnesota Initiative Foundation luncheon, and the only thing I think we're missing out on a lot of opportunity with that. You know, you look at the map of things that are happening in southeastern Minnesota, and we're very lacking. You know, you look at some of the things, even just paint from Valspar. You know, I get a letter in Eitzen regularly, offering paint, for a project of some kind. And we've got Boy Scouts and 4-H members that look for projects. literally look for projects, and I think that something could be done there, as well as, the different grants and loans that are available to them.
Do we have
So,
to apply for them? or-
Yes,
Right.
you do.
And you
Yep.
have to know about what's going on. That's why I've
Mhm.
always wanted us to keep representation
Mhm.
with them and keep
Yeah.
hooking up
Because
with
there is
them for
money and we
things.
pay into it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's why I
just-
questioned the last time when they told us what they had spent. Well, the stuff from Houston County, actually, a big chunk of it was Ridgeway School because Houston, are they in Winona School District or
Mhm.
whatever? So some of those people come in, are into our county.
Mhm.
So we're not really, the physical part of it is in another county, so
Mhm, it
that's
didn't-
not, yeah, it didn't
didn't
come
happen here,
physically
yeah.
into here.
So I think we need to look into this a little bit more and attend more attendance.
Right, and-
I think there's opportunities there.
And the early childhood part that's
Yeah.
coming through there
Mhm.
is really starting to get active more so in
Mhm.
Houston County again. They kind of fallen off for a while, but
Mhm.
like Fillmore County, if you look at that map on the back, I mean, Fillmore County gets a lot more than what we do, but also they manage the foundations. You know, like how there's all these different foundations all over the county? Smith manages foundations all over, and they manage a lot of the foundations in Fillmore County, so that makes them a little more involved, I
Mhm.
think, in Fillmore County. They don't do any foundations in our county. Winona
Yep.
County has a whole nother system in their county that they do their foundations together. In Houston County, all the foundations are separate. There's no central
Mhm.
unit for our foundations, and there's a lot of them in the county. They also do, they've gotten grants in Fillmore County for people starting new businesses, which we really need to, we talk about this at EDA too, we need to help people get money to start new businesses, and keeping connected with Smith and sending people that way for
Mhm.
additional funding would be really good coming into our county. I mean, it's just incredible where the funds go and where the funds don't go. And like Winona County has a lot of AmeriCorps people working in their county, which a lot of them are working in schools, you know, and if that's something like some of the schools who've lost services, like Houston, with losing Head Start, you know, maybe they could get an AmeriCorps person to come in to help in their schools. You know, it's probably something they look at, but this, keeping in touch with Smith keeps you in touch with all of that stuff. I mean, the things that they can do, and the Valspar paint, that's what Hoka used for their city hall.
City
is it?
Hall, I think, yeah.
Yep, and you know, maybe it's things that we can look at, you
Mhm.
know, keep more of an
Oh, yeah.
open eye for things like that in Houston County. They're just a really good,
Well, and we pay toward it, you know,
Yeah.
we
We do,
support
yeah.
it.
we support it,
Mhm.
and we really need to connect to it.
And then I have one other thing. This afternoon at 1 o'clock, we're having, we're auctioning the airport cropland, and we should probably consider at what level we should accept. You know, price per acre. Anybody have ideas?
Well, right now, we're limited to low line.
Yeah, low-line crops.
So you're looking at alfalfa and you're looking at
Soybeans.
soybeans. Mhm.
Mhm. Snowpack could have some low crops,
Mhm.
you know.
Peas.
Peas,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm. Well, a lot of your
Soybeans.
vegetables are low crop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How many acres is it?
19.4. We're currently getting only $85 per
Anything,
acre.
anything under $1 million probably isn't worth.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest with you, I
Let's
guess.
start $1 million. Let's go.
You know, I guess, to be honest with you, I think anything's worth something.
Mhm.
You know, it'd be hard to say, oh, we're not gonna do it under this point, because
I know.
then what do you do?
Can't
You know?
reject.
And it's difficult too, you know, when you're limiting some acreage, you can't put corn on it, for instance.
It is, however, we've gotten a lot of criticism from the flyers thinking we're not getting enough out of it.
True,
So we
true.
wanted to throw it out there and see what you think.
Well, I think the only issue there is land's only, land value is only worth what you can get for it.
Correct.
You know, I mean, we can say we want 150, but if nobody wants to bid anything more than 100, what do you do? You can't force them to go up. So, you know, I think just in auction, it'll tell us what that land's really worth.
Yeah.
If there's interest for that, you know, those, if there's a market for.
Yeah. She's direct mailed
local
several
homes. Yeah,
people
that's
that
good.
have had
That's
interest in
good.
the past, so I think we're,
So is this a bid opening at 1 o'clock today?
no, I'm gonna live auction it.
Oh, live auction?
Kind of
Yeah.
like we do the other
Yeah.
land, yeah. So I don't know, I mean, I don't know if we no sale it, but,
Yeah, that'd be,
you know, I mean, it'd be,
Mhm.
whatever we can get is.
or maybe we could set a minimum of $100,
Yeah.
something like that,
'Cause I
and
think
that
what were we
seems
getting-
reasonable. It
What
should
were we
be-
getting before, like 85? Or
85
Yeah.
we are currently
Yeah.
getting.
I mean, that's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I would agree that,
Maybe $100,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that should
It'd
be,
be nice
it should
to
be worth
just-
that.
it should be worth it.
even just start
Good
the bidding at
starting
$100,
point,
yeah.
yep. Mhm.
Yeah. See where it goes, and if you.
And if
Yeah.
we don't get that, then we want to rebid or re-advertise? or-
You know, I guess maybe the best way, you know, start it at 100 and see where it goes. If nobody wants it for 100, that tells you real quick, there
Yeah.
is no market for it any more than that.
Mhm.
Maybe, you know, but maybe there is. You know, maybe somebody's willing to go 200 on it. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. It depends on, you know, what it's worth to somebody. Like you said, you got some businesses that would utilize low-lying crops. you
I
know,
suspect it'll take care of itself, but,
Yeah, I agree,
you know,
Steve.
as
Yep,
long
I
as people
agree.
show up.
Yeah, that's the other thing, yeah, as long as
Mhm.
people show up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Could we also maybe, we'll have to do a lease agreement with them, and could you authorize Steve to sign on behalf of the board?
Yeah, I would say that would be
Mhm.
appropriate, and it'd be basically, because isn't that what we did last time for the,
Yeah.
Correct.
we'll just
Mhm.
treat it like we did the 22 acres, the same thing, that,
Okay.
Have them sign right away, they don't need to pay rent
Mhm.
until, what, next first thing in spring?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
it'd be basically the same lease.
Yeah.
Just different
Yes.
language on it,
Okay.
so, does that make sense?
Sounds good.
If you need a motion to authorize.
That'd be good.
Okay.
Sure. To authorize Steve to sign for it?
Correct.
So, sure, I will move that we authorize Steve to sign for the bid on the cropland out at the airport.
I'll second it.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
Yeah, thanks for doing that,
Done.
Steve.
Glad you brought that up. Judy, have anything? We have a few
No, I
minutes.
had EDA and a lot of what we talked about is coming up in the hearing in a few minutes.
Okay.
I think that the other person was at the door once, but maybe didn't realize that this was where she needed to be. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Judy?
No, those are pretty big deals though. I mean, they're big projects in our county, so it's
Mhm.
exciting that it's coming up for the public hearing.
I had the department head meeting last Tuesday.
And I missed it.
Oh, yeah, give me a hard time.
Yep.
Really, the main thing we discussed was Carol's going to be doing the audit report from the state auditor with our finance meeting next week, along with Donna. I'll have her full report too. That time, right? 14th, I think I have it written down for. We had a little discussion on some of the data requests that we've been getting, how much time consuming and charging for it, and how it's going, so. A lot of discussion on that, and then I had the extension meeting with Dana. And they do have people whose terms are up that can't run again, and they are really, really striving to have one person on the board from each of our districts, all the way through. So they do have some names for people from La Crescent area, Brownsville, that area, and my district. And I think that Sherry's gonna be contacting them to see if any of them are interested. There was I don't know, I won't give the names because I don't know who's going to accept it. And they are also, we have very, very good 4-H report because the numbers were up in every category. 4-H participants, even good ribbons, good results at the state fair was real good. And we had the SNAP educator give us a PowerPoint on what they're doing in the region with SNAP education, which is your WIC programs, basically. So, yeah, it was a good meeting. Gets a little long, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did.
but it was a good meeting.
Does the SNAP program come through the extension?
It does.
Yeah.
It's funded by the extension,
That
but
was
they
a very
work
good-
with, like, public health, and I talked to Mary Marshall, and she works very close with their education program too.
That lady
so.
was looking for people to give talks.
If you have churches or
Low income.
senior meals, they will do programs for those people. So anybody that, and actually Dana got the lady's card, but we
Yeah.
can get it from extension too.
I was trying to get her into Spring Grove.
Because she'll do education to seniors on how to cook things for one, healthy instead of sandwich meat, Yeah, she was very interesting.
Oh,
And
that
they
was a
use
good
a
talk.
lot of farmer's market. They take them to a farmer's market, show them what to buy and how to fix it.
Wow.
But, yeah, she was very interesting, I thought.
Oh, yes, I agree. It was really interesting stuff.
So if you know programs that might be interested in it, you can call the extension office, or, like I said, Dana has this
I have a
lady's
card.
card too. Because she's looking for more resources
Yes.
to reach people.
I wonder if she's reached out to the licensed childcare providers.
I don't know yet, but she would be very interested in doing that. Yeah.
She's worked with the community eds in different communities.
Yeah, she does work with community ed.
Yep.
Okay, and then I had the frac end, but Justin gave a good report of that, so. All right, we have a couple minutes here. We could probably recess, I suppose, huh? We don't have anything else?
Yeah, do you want to recess for a few minutes?
Recess for 2 minutes?
Sure,
If somebody make a
sure.
motion to recess? And then we'll,
Move to recess?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We're going to recess for 2 minutes because we can't start till 10 o'clock on the dot. So,
According to which clock?
Yeah, who's,
mine is pretty close to this one.
I got 3 minutes to go. Wow.
Yeah, do we want to go by this
Yeah.
one?
Close enough.
We should really take that clock down so it doesn't show on our videos all the time.
It needs a battery, that's all it is.
Oh, good God.
It's dead.
Yeah.
So were you up all night again, Justin?
Oh, yeah.
I can reach that.
Oh, yeah.
Robin gave me a little relief bill from like 4 until 6:30, so.
What's his name?
Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Stephen.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So he was good. Like in the hospital, he was really good. He would sleep for 2 hours and then wake up, and then sleep for 2 hours, wake up. And we got him home, and he started that routine for about the first 8 hours, and then after that, he's like, "Screw it, I'm up every hour on the hour." And it's like,
I
oh,
like it,
jeez, yeah. So, but now hopefully everything's going a little bit smoother. And he slept for a while this morning. I took him from early this morning, 6:30ish or so, until 8:20 or something. He slept the whole time, but he woke up right when I was leaving. But my mom came over to relieve so that Robin could get some sleep. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it's good.
Did you practice Grandma 911?
Exactly. She told me too. She's like, "I'll be there anytime to watch him," and I was like, "You're gonna regret saying that."
I don't think so.
No, grandparents
No.
kind
It's
of
fun
like
to be
the little,
grandparents.
the little
I never
tights.
did.
Yeah. So, no, it was good.
Hand around the sign-up sheet for the public
Oh, I
hearing, or
suppose,
just let
yeah.
them talk?
I think we have a small enough group, we could just have them talk, huh? We should, or should we have a record? Yeah, let's have a record, if anybody wants to. Then we have legally place, I guess, huh?
Oh, okay, okay. Does anyone want to sign up to speak at the public hearing? I would.
Oh. Is that him? I don't even know who it is.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. Anyone else? No?
going to call the public hearing to order. We need to have a motion to reconvene first.
I make a motion, it can be.
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, let's see. Sam?
All right,
Good
so.
morning.
Good morning. As we talked about it the last time I was here, the two tax abatements that were proposed, now we are at the stage where it's a public hearing. So there is a resolution, there should be a resolution there for you, detailing the abatements proposed. And so the first, looks like the first one on the agenda is the Willard Bigger Senior Apartments. So I guess that would be the time if there's any questions that you guys have for me.
Okay, Kelly, did you want to speak on one or the other, or
I would love to speak on them both at the same time, if that'd be okay.
that'd be fine? Okay.
No?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. As a member of the Houston County EDA and the person who made the motion to approve these tax abatements, I did want to comment on them. I don't know either of the proposers personally, but I just wanted to make the point that these two projects are precisely the kinds of projects from an economic development perspective that we should want in Houston County. They've been proposed by people in Houston County and for the benefit of people and businesses in Houston County. The senior housing project will allow seniors to stay in their communities in their elder years and was made possible by a very generous family expressly for that purpose. The veterinary clinic will renovate a local structure and expand to provide additional service to their agricultural and residential customers locally, as well as provide additional employment opportunities. These two projects are shining examples of the types of development consistent with the social and economic makeup of our county, which our EDA should be encouraging, promoting, and supporting. I enthusiastically support the approval of these two tax abatements, and I'd like to thank the proposers for choosing our county in which to do business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody who didn't get on the list that wants to speak at this time? Okay, all right, we'll turn it back over to.
All right, so I guess then it comes back to the board. If the board has questions, then they may ask them, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Did the city of Whiteson meet yet, or they?
No,
meet
they'll
today?
meet on the 14th,
Okay.
and I'm thinking it'll be a positive there. I can't speak for the council, but it's pretty well accepted, by the community.
Okay.
Was it presented at their meeting already?
It's tonight.
Oh,
No, 14th.
Oh, 14th, I thought it
Yes,
was tonight.
the 14th, no.
Okay.
But it's been addressed, I guess, been talked about.
Oh, that's what I meant.
We just now gotten plans this week.
Okay.
So, in fact, I think the city is already making plans as far as utility and so forth,
We
so
need two separate motions.
it looks pretty positive on that, from that
During the
perspective.
public
It's a good
hearing.
thing, a very
No,
good thing.
Right after the public hearing. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so
Okay.
any more questions on Willard McGriff Senior Apartments?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So then the next resolution then would be for the Caledonia Veterinary Clinic. And that one should also be there for you too. Detailing that proposal. Just same, it should be the same details as was on the application. So now I guess if there's any more public comment, we can hear that. And then if the board has questions, we can hear those too.
Are there any public comments on the veterinary clinic that didn't sign up? All right. Questions from the board?
No, I just think it's a good thing,
I do too.
we've got an older building out there that's
It's a
been
great
empty for
location.
a long time. It's a great location, absolutely great location, I think, and welcome improvement to the community.
Very much so.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, if there's no other business, we can have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we need a motion to open our meeting first, and then a motion to act on these two proposals.
Just reconvene our. Yep.
Reconvene.
I will move that we reconvene the
I'll second it.
board meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
You want a motion for each?
Yes.
Yes.
I move to approve the Weegriff senior housing.
I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I will move that we approve the Caledonia Vet Clinic.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the two projects are now approved.
Good luck. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yay. I do want everybody to make a note that we have that district meeting coming up the last Monday, and it's in Preston. Fillmore County is the host.
The
8 to
last Monday, you said?
Yeah,
What meeting is that?
AMC District 9.
District 9
District 9
meeting.
meeting. What time does it start? 8?
8 o'clock, so, and it's in Preston. I looked it up
Yeah, I saw that too.
at their courthouse. Just so we have that on the calendar, because that's kind of an important one, especially the fall one. Okay. Anybody else, a commissioner report or comments that want to add anything before we move on with our report from our tour?
I just felt it was really important that we talk about the stuff that we saw on the tour, and because it was really a great learning experience for us, and I kind of have a few video clips from it that will show throughout the discussion on mainly to get, like, Brian, do you want to come up and join us up here? Because I think that we need to keep you available for discussion items too. Okay, we started out at the Caledonia City Shop, which this is a little bit of a clip from that.
Hang on one second. Can you guys see the other monitors showing up, right? Yep, okay, good.
Okay, this is a clip from the Caledonia Shop. And we can do this with, I think we need to keep discussion going. So like if you're talking about doing other places that you want us to tour, then I think afterwards we should come back and talk about them as a group.
And
so
do it
we can
again.
have these discussions going forward to keep everyone in the loop. 'Cause
And I
you
did,
missed
speaking
it,
of
so I want to
adding-
make sure that you
Mhm.
hear everything.
Yeah, and I know you had a couple places, and also I did get a call from somebody again about looking at the Canton shop. So when we do another road trip, we should include that.
Okay, these clips are kind of hard to hear, but
Now this one, that might correct
the shop,
it's 60 feet.
This is, their shops are smaller. So their ceilings are lower. But like Ryan pointed out when we were here, it's all enclosed. I mean, everything was covered. And it's a metal building.
6 to 9 inch because the main area plus that storage room is on top of that.
You can see by, that's one of our trucks parked in there, that there would be no way to lift the
Dump box.
Dump box of it.
She wants to want you to talk louder,
You
right?
can't hear us talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you maybe
could
shut
turn the
I'm
volume
sorry.
down. We
I'll
don't need to
turn
hear
the
that.
volume down on it.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
really-
and why don't you move up to hear a little better if you'd like?
Yeah, this is the city of. Now this one, Mike Curry said, it's 60
You
feet.
really don't need the volume, you don't need, you need to hear him talking.
You just mute it.
Just mute it.
Know where your pause bar is?
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so you can see how it's finished, it's metal. One thing I remember Tom pointing out while we were there, that he would put the cement up higher on the side to, for the
Prevent rust.
salt and
Yeah,
rust.
prevent rust on steel siding.
And that the building, our building would have to be taller. They just do their, is it utility trucks in that building, right?
This,
Is that
their, yes, their electrical department's in this building.
what- Okay,
So does the city have dump trucks?
Yes,
So
their city
that's
dump
fine.
trucks are in a different shop right next to it. It was built back in the 1970s. It's a 60-foot depth building, same depth as what this new building that they built is. But they have primarily single axle. Actually, I think they're all single axle dump trucks, so it doesn't have the space between the doors. They have some issues with their existing building, but, you know.
Yeah, there's a comment, I guess, that they
That
made
it
too,
should
that
be
it
wider
would have been
between the
better to be
doors.
wider.
and they also talked about the heating system here is an overhead heating system. And they talked about the benefits of that. We toured some places with in-floor heat and some places with overhead. City of Caledonia likes it because there's a faster recovery with that when you open the door and close the door.
Radiant heat, I think is what they were.
Yep, and that's what we have now in all of our
Mhm.
shops too.
And at the same time that we were here, we were discussing, you know, if we do a building, do we look at doing all of our maintenance for the whole county in the same building? Do we put the sheriff's cars through this building for their servicing, and do we put the county cars that are all over? You know, it's just something to discuss as we go along. But we also talked about that there were people in the community that benefit from that service coming out. So that's all items that we can add for discussion. We also talked that this building was built in 2008 for $350,000, and it would be, in today's cost, $500,000. It's not big enough to meet our needs, and there's no offices on premises. They did have do they have a wash bay on this one?
This one does, no, they do not have an inside wash bay in this building. The adjacent building has a wash bay in that.
Okay.
This building does have a little office space that we didn't, I guess, go into, but it's more for just getting into writing a few notes and.
Okay. Does anyone else have comments about the Caledonia shop that they want to share?
It was built when, did you say?
I believe it was 2008.
In it for how much? 300?
350,000 roughly is what Mike Girardi told me. He estimates it would have been about 500,000 to build it now. He did say that that was the biggest building that they could have built without having to sprinkle the building. So he said if it was any bigger, it would have had to have been sprinkled, and that's why they went with that size. And that has, I believe, 4 doors on the front, 4 bays for trucks, so.
And they were wishing that the distance between the doors, the overhead doors, was 2 feet
They wish
more.
they had 2 feet, yeah. So if you
Yeah.
played that again, you can see that they have like about 6 feet, I believe, between
Mhm.
doors. They wish they had 8 feet in between.
But that would have, that would have kicked in the sprinkler systems.
Yep.
Which was pricey.
Right.
So they're saying so in roughly 6 years, the price went up 40%, building costs.
That's what the city told me, and if you want to talk to Mike Girardi about that building, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, our next stop was at Crawford County in Wisconsin. And I just took, we didn't finish our tour until like 4 o'clock or something in the afternoon, wasn't it? So it was a
4 or
lot of
5.
hours of stuff that we looked at. But I wanted to pick out a few so that everyone could get a feel of what the building was like that we looked at. This is Crawford County's shop. This is their parts room. And they have a lot more parts than we do. But again, one of the things that they said was they should have built it bigger. They had to already add a second story that you could see as it was going around because they ran out of space. But they have a lot more parts than we would need, correct?
Yep, they have 3 mechanics. They have 30-some dump trucks. So their entire fleet is bigger. When you look at this facility, they actually have 5 office staff housed at the building along with 3 mechanics. Their maintenance staff is all actually housed outside of this building, or outside this complex, but they bring all the equipment there to get repaired.
Yeah, and their office complex is just a completely separate building.
Yep, they
from
have
everything
7
else.
separate buildings, I believe, on the
Mhm.
site. Started off with 4 buildings in 2003, added 3 buildings since. The entire site, when I'm sure you have an outside clip in here at some
How many acres?
point. Outside is entirely paved.
What was this, 40 acres?
40 acres is the entire site. The
Yeah.
actual paved acres is probably about 15 acres.
Mhm.
One of the reasons we looked at that, what struck me was their population in that county is about the same as ours.
It's a little bit
It's
less.
a little bit less,
Population's
actually,
about
17,000 something.
Yep, and the area's about 15% bigger area
Mhm.
within the county than
Now,
Houston County has, so.
Aren't Crawford County's contracted out to do the state roads and townships, right?
They do the
So
state
that's
roads.
hence
They
the
do a
more
lot
trucks.
more
Yep.
roads.
They have
That's
more
right.
More trucks, more
roads.
staff, yeah.
And they also get money from the state too.
Yeah, they
Yep,
get
yep,
money
because
from
the state
the
roads
state.
get money
Help
from
out.
the state, so yes, so they do things a little bit different, and that's the difference between, Crawford County, you'll see some differences because of the state roads. City of Winona, or city of,
Prairie.
Onalaska, because of being a city versus a county, things are done differently.
And they also.
When you said that they wanted it bigger than just the parts room you're talking about?
Right, they
Because
mentioned.
Because I think one of the guys mentioned that the mechanical part where they fixed was too big. There was it was too high, there was a lot of wasted space. Well, I heard one of the guys tell.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that, but they said that in that shop, they can lift their trucks
Oh,
up.
yeah, it's way
And
up
they,
there.
they did build to expand because their welding shop that they have is actually made to be a truck bay as in the future. They also have outside buildings. They have a.
Sand shed and a
Salt,
salt
yeah.
shed.
Yep.
Right, and they also have a heated storage for their trucks. They did say that they have 3 mechanics now, and that they needed another person in their shop to, they would like another person just to be there for the emissions part of the trucks, because that's such a big deal now. They have inside and outside wash bays. They wish they had another wash bay, because when all the trucks come back in, they want to get all the salt off of them, and some of the drivers are waiting in line to be able to wash their trucks before they're done for the day. So they wash them in the wash bay, and then they take them into the heated storage. Oh, another thing in the parts area that they talked about that they really liked was the fact that they could drive into the parts area. The truck, when they delivered, could back right in and unload parts. This was also the place where we spent quite a bit of time in their sign shop. Their sign shop is connected to their office area. The office complex up there is separate from this is their maintenance building, then they have cold storage for equipment things. They had like, what did they have in their cold storage? Remember we walked out there? There was like, their poles and,
It was mainly off-season, I think it was off-season
What you
things.
talking
yeah,
about?
there's
cold-
cold storage?
Yeah.
The
We
very
at the
far
end.
back building.
Unheated shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much more of the stuff in the off-season. They had some equipment stored inside that get used during the summer, but not during the winter.
Mhm. And I don't remember, did they have in-floor heat here or overhead?
They
I
had
don't see
in-floor
it.
in this building.
Okay. And they also, but they talked about how they've already had to add buildings to their complex since they started, right?
Added 3.
Yeah, they've added 3 buildings, so that was in not that long of time because.
This was built in 2008 also,
No,
wasn't it?
2003.
3, okay,
At a cost of $3 million?
yeah,
Is that what you had in your notes?
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's roughly $3 million.
yeah, I remember that too from.
Just for this building or for all the buildings?
No.
For
For
that
the-
initial.
this building,
For the
right?
initial 4 buildings.
The office and the.
What they did is they put their office building into a different building from the maintenance building to, again, get down on that footprint and size. Their office building, It's the biggest building they could have had without sprinkling it. So they have their office building and a meeting room in it. And, you know, their office building, it's, most of their staff is out in the field. I mean, they have probably 2 or 3 people that are in the office, the other 2 or 3 are in the field
They have
most of the
5
time.
people who
5 people
are
total.
work out of
Yep.
that office.
Yep.
And that office building was big, and then their sign shop was in there. And the one thing they said too was their sign shop, they should have planned for it to be bigger also.
They're direct, they can't put
And-
their sign truck into their building.
Right, they can't bring the sign truck in, and so they don't have a door to get things out. Just different, it was interesting to ask people what they would do if they were going to change how they did something.
The faults, yeah, their
Yeah.
faults, I guess, that
Yep.
came up.
Yeah, and,
I think it's one of the nice things too is, you know, their meeting room that they have, conference room or whatever it is, gets used quite frequently by other entities or community.
right, it's a big public service
Yeah.
for them to have that.
Has a separate door, they can let
Because
it be
it's
used.
centrally located in
Mhm.
the county too, which is really good. The size of the shop is 160 by 80, so they can bring trucks in from both sides and have a walkway. They had all their grease going overhead, and
Grease and oil, I think.
grease and,
Everything
yeah,
was,
oil was
yeah,
overhead
piped,
also.
plumbed.
Brian, do you know, do they maintain those, do they do the signs for all the state roads there too?
No, they do the signs for their system, and I don't think they do the township signs either. I think it
Oh,
sounds like
just the
township
county
They
signs.
do
I think
3
they're-
townships or something
Yeah,
like
very
that so
minimal
far.
township signs.
But some of them are gonna be turning it over to them too.
Yeah, they're kind of getting into the same situation that we are as far as the townships. They're doing more and more work for the townships, because townships are having a tough time finding contractors to do work for them. So. and
So
that's
they're
what we
gonna be
found in this
doing more
county.
plowing for the townships. The townships want to contract with the county.
Yeah, most of their townships are contracting already with the county now.
Mhm.
And I was trying to see if I had anything else down.
It was nice, you know, that, yeah,
Oh, another thing
great
that,
having a parts room, you know, and then a parts window.
yeah.
And delivery door to the parts room.
So you're repeating the same stuff over again? or
Yeah,
did you-
it's just
It's
keeps
just
running.
looping.
Okay.
So you can look at it if you see something.
Yeah, I don't know if you had an outside clip in there or not.
I don't think that I have an excuse me, that I have an outside clip of this one. I think the next one is on Alaska. But one of the things that they really talked about here too was the fence around the entire
Yeah, security.
campus for security and how important that was to have the area secured, which, you know, is something that, you know, you need to look at things walking off like culverts and signs and all the millions of dollars worth of equipment that you have there. Then after we finished at the, at Crawford, we went to the Unalaska City Shop. And we, I'm gonna actually unmute it because I'm pretty sure this next clip is, sorry. The next clip is, I think you could hear the person talking.
Wabash. I don't know if you ever saw our old.
A couple seconds in, but it's really hard to fast forward to see.
Have you down by the tracks down?
This
Yeah.
is in the break room
What difference?
at Unalaska City Shop.
Which is also their conference room and their training room.
I work, the water
It's
utility.
comparable to what we
So
had.
we had, our sewer jet truck was here, and our picnic table was right next to it, you know. to the
We're used to that.
and stuff, so, yeah.
Sounds
So-
familiar.
Yeah, so this is, yeah.
So are all your offices in this part and then there's?
Yes.
We could look at some of the offices or.
Well, their city
Gerald-
engineer, Jared Holter, is the city engineer. He's over at their annual meeting.
At City Hall.
City Hall.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So this
Yeah,
is.
this is just the public works, so
Okay.
the water utility,
Okay.
water and sewer, and then our street department.
So Brian, just so I understand, and this is maybe, so types of buildings, Crawford County was what kind of building versus this one?
I think Crawford County is, it's another county highway shop, just like
Right.
ours, except you know, they don't have a whole lot of engineering staff, they don't have.
No, I'm talking like building structure, like, you
Building
know.
structure, you know, that's a lot more comparable to the same type of facilities that we have. This is different because there's city versus county, so you guys don't have your sand storage outside.
Okay.
You know, all the culverts outside.
Yeah, well, we have salt.
A little bit,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, you have a little salt.
Yes,
Not
not
like
like-
pure salt, not sand salt mixed like what we are, you know, 20% salt or 5%.
Yeah.
Okay, so metal building versus stick built versus your precast, you know,
This is metal. Now they do have the blocks on the front
Mhm.
for, you know, some aesthetic
Right, yeah.
purposes, but it's a metal building.
okay?
And so we're all, we're all basic buildings.
This guy starts talking about, when we first came in there,
This is a nice break.
It is.
How many
Yes.
employees do you have in this building?
I think Jared comes in after this.
About 20.
How many are used in the field?
But this was just this guy kind of telling us.
Probably 60.
Hey,
No pictures? No, no, I'm just teasing.
I can zoom.
4 or 5 employees in there.
At least I know one face. I know one face.
So does this break room get used for other things too?
Yeah, like today we had, the street department had
Chainsaw training.
chainsaw training.
Okay,
So the gentleman came in and had all this different equipment and showed showed a video and that kind of stuff. So
okay.
Training room, great
Oh,
picture.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so there's the TV.
So this is Jared Holzer, he's
Nice.
city engineer, been around since well before this building got built.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been with the city almost 19 years now, so I've, if you wanted to see what we had before this, I could take you down there and show you that, and it's night and day. I mean, we had a facility that was built in the 60s and then add on to it every 10 years, and it was a very cramped, outdated, just very hard to work on a facility. A lot of safety issues with trying to put things away and get things back. We had usually at least one accident in our shop every 6 months where somebody would be trying to put back into somebody at the end of the day, just trying to cram as much equipment into the barn as we could. So we got rid of a lot of that. I guess I'll just start off with that's where we were, that's where we are today. We were fortunate that our area down there, as part of our downtown, was part of a redevelopment area. And we were fortunate enough, that's part of the reason we got the elected officials to back us in building this facility. And I always tell everybody we're very fortunate. I preach that to the employees all the time. And if you walk through the facility today, it's 7 years old, and we try and keep it very clean. And you're going to walk through today, and I pride myself in it. And the employees know what we have. In fact, here's the cleaning schedule. Every Friday, there's 2 employees randomly assigned to clean. And so we try and keep what we have very as nice as we can. I would say you could build something cheaper, but there's definitely, you could build something a lot more expensive than what we built too. We did meet a lot of things that we tried to kind of find the middle of the road and things like that. So
How much was this?
this building was $3.3 million to build. So that doesn't include the cost of the land. We had to work with the developer at the time. City Street was going in and everything. We looked at various spots in the city. We're not centrally located within our municipality, which we wanted to be. But when we looked at trying to fit in this kind of operation, there was always something. You'd find the right piece of land, and then there was always the assisted care facility was right next door. Well, you don't want to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning with diesel trucks going out the barn, warming up and getting ready to go and getting loaded salt and stuff like that. So we just couldn't find a good spot. This
$3.3 million in 2006.
that's $2007. So that was $2007. So it'd be take your CPI for whatever it's worth, at least 15% more probably. There are some features in the building that our elected officials tried to decide to go with at the time. Like we've got, when we get to the back, there's a solar wall that preheats the cold air coming in, because obviously with the exhaust in our heated bay, there's a lot of mandated turnover of the air within that, so that it preheats, it cycles its way through this exterior panel that then the sun will preheat in the wintertime, and then you bring in air that's hopefully not 20 below. So that's something that we put in the building. Porous asphalt we had in the parking lot. There's a few things along the way that we really went through. That included $100,000 of the furnishings and things like the chairs and everything you see in the building. The office furniture was part of that 3.3 million. We hired HSR Associates out of La Crosse to design the building, and that was about $170,000. With that, we did the construction administration and things with our engineering department and everything, but we did have the contractor come back, or HSR come back and help us with bi-weekly meetings and shop submittals and things such as that. So
Was that in addition to the 300?
that's in addition to the 3.3. We authorized that 2 years before, and it was about a 2-year process. We went through the process and obviously met with all the employees, along the architect, and well, what would we want if we had a perfectly clean slate, or what could make your life more efficient and easier? So then we went and we migrated then down to, okay, well, we know we're not going to have 6 mechanics in 20 years, so we don't need to have this many mechanics bays and stuff like that, so we got down to what we thought was a reasonable number of space once we got done. We originally had a break room and a meeting room in this facility, the original. Actually, that got kind of toward the end of the design. We got down and we cut that out as one of the last things. We were going to have, I think this room was 600 square feet. We were going to have a 400 square foot just meeting room, and we made this a little bit bigger and got rid of that and made it into one room. So I think just from when we started the whole process and everything, and we walked through the facility here, it's been it was a long journey. Dan McDonald's my street manager. Just being at the old shop, you know, I mean, it's been I really truly feel, because we went through the same budget as everyone else did. In 2004 and 2005, we actually had one employee actually pass away, and one employee retired. Those positions were never replaced. And if you look at what we have against other municipalities in our street department and even our utility department, I really feel that this facility lets us work more efficiently. We included a welding area and a sign shop, where before you had to take a vehicle out, take stuff out from the corner and make a little sign shop area and try and do signs. And well, you waste 15, 20 minutes trying to get all the stuff out and then put it away at the end of the day. And then, of course, nobody wants to start a project at the end of the day. If your day's done at 3:30 and you don't want to start at 3 o'clock, you have to put all the stuff away. So there's just a variety of operational issues that I think we're more efficient with this building, and it was very beneficial to us.
Love it.
Okay, so
I don't know if you ever saw our old
he took us from here to see their sign shop, and they just talked about how efficient their sign shop was, and we already press our signs, correct? And that's what they do. Then they took us in to see and I should have maybe put a video clip up, but we went into where they store their trucks, and they have the drive-through, right?
Yep, they have drive-through. They can store, I believe, 7 dump trucks inside, along with, I think they have like their vac truck and a couple other large equipment in there. Along with, they have about a dozen or 14 pickups inside that same area as well.
And it was pretty much designed so there was no backing up, I guess, as much as,
Yep.
or as little backing up as possible.
Yeah, what it is, there's 3 aisles. Pickups back into their stall. You have a middle row that they have the large equipment primarily goes into. They go down one drive aisle, they angle park in, and then they can drive forward to get out and down the next aisle. So,
And I think a part of that was because they have small equipment and large equipment, it was the most efficient way for them to store it, because you have that strip, you could put how many pickups there. And then we went from there into the cold storage, correct?
yes.
And the cold storage is attached to the building where the heated storage is, because if they ever need to expand, they can expand into their cold storage and make their
Heated.
Yep, they designed it up where they can expand another 80 feet if they need to.
And they put a sprinkler system in, because when they compared the price of the sprinkler system to putting up the block walls that they would have needed to, the pricing wasn't that different that they felt the sprinkler system was that much of a benefit. So I think they said the sprinkler system was 250,000. So that was a lot of, you know, the block wall has to be a double block wall. They talked about the floor and the wear on the floor in that area, and, you know, the upkeep and putting epoxy down on it again. They said the building will last for 50 years, and it'll probably get renovated at that point because it's planned for that kind of life expectancy. When we went into their cold storage unit, it's adjoined to this, but they have a dry sprinkler system in there, and they also, I don't know that it was the greatest of ideas, but instead of putting the long beams in that they had in the other part so they could drive through, they shortcutted and put posts in. Do you guys remember the posts?
Mm-hmm.
And then they had bars around them, so when they were driving in and out of that one, they'd have to make sure no one ran into these big posts that were out in. But it was a cost-saving measure for them to do that. I just wondered as I looked at it, if they expand and use that part for heated storage ever, what would they, you know, the posts would be right in the way. Let's see, what else do we got? Okay. Their goal was to eventually be able to use that space. And they said, that Jared Holter said that they've already run out of space. He said things are never big enough. And then we went outside with him, and I'm just gonna do I'm always looking for my mouse because I'm used to using a mouse. This part I'll mute again because it's really kind of windy out there. But I want you to be able to see the solar panel and their storage sheds out here. This is their salt storage, and it's a wooden building, and that's 1/3 of what they need to store. And the one in the back there holds the other 2/3, I'm pretty sure, that you can't really see here.
It was the other way around.
The new one was bigger?
The new one was the bigger
Okay.
one, yeah.
And then there's a housing thing that got built in the area that they talked about buying but didn't. And so they really regretted not buying that property when the opportunity was there, because now they'll never be able to expand, and they're finding that they have more and more things that they need to store on site. They also have the whole thing fenced off. And yeah, there's their other storage. So between the storage, they can hold over a year's worth of salt.
Yep, they can hold a full year's worth of salt, and they use about the same amount of salt that we use. Actually, they use less, but out of they use about the same amount there as what we use at our Caledonia facility.
Okay.
Except they use pure salt, where we're using
Salt, sand.
about 4 times the amount of sand as salt. So our piles are about 5 times the size of what they need for storage space.
And this was one of the latest buildings they added. Then this whole side of this building here that's their solar panel.
That was kind of amazing to see that.
Yeah, it was, because it looks just like a regular building. You don't really picture that that's the solar panel that's.
They call it a
heating
solar wall.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can see how,
solar
you can see how
wall.
thick the wall is at that door, over
Uh-huh.
at the overhead door.
Yep.
And that's because it sticks out, it has that airspace to get everything to heat up and circulate around to get into the building.
And then they also said that the cost of that has gone down since they put it in. And he said if we were to do it again, we would probably do it on the roof also, because they feel it's really efficient.
Do you remember the size of that building, Brian?
I do not. I know that the overall size of the main shop area is huge compared to what we're proposing. But I don't, but I can get you the plans. It'll be actually on that, no it's not, I was gonna say on the disc I had the plans, but I don't.
And this one, you come around to the back to get into the actual mechanic bays, correct?
Yes.
And so there were mechanic bays that we went into next. And they have, they have 24 people that work in this building. And they have 16 people out in the field.
I thought you said 20 in the building. Did you say 24?
Yeah, 24. And, and they did talk about, you know, the need to fence it in. Okay, and then we went from here, and we're not gonna go through all of the video that we did, but we went into the mechanics bay. They had a problem with their electrical inspections. And so that was one of the things they said that they had to do was a $6,000.
Change order, yeah, it was a code issues. The inspector on their project was saying that they interpreted the code one way, where on the state building code sites, they ended up having a $6,000 change order just to have explosion-proof lights and a pump or something down in their
Ventilation.
pit and stuff, along with their ventilation is always
Yeah,
on when the lights turn on
ventilation.
for their pit in their shop, which we're proposing to not to have one of those in ours. We can lift the truck up.
And they again had an extra bay added that they used for a welding area now for expansion later.
Yep.
So they were looking ahead, and their tool area in Unalaska is very small because of where they're located. They can get their parts fairly quick, so their tool area was very small. And they have one mechanic, but other people who work in that area also jump in and help with
It
mechanical.
sounded like most of them knew how to weld. Most of the guys that come in, and they do their own welding and fabricating.
Yep.
Yep, they have one mechanic, they have one large vehicle bay, 3 small vehicle bays. They have about 50% less large equipment than what we have, but they're doing all of their small equipment
Yeah, they do the
repairs, all the
fire
pickups,
trucks.
and they do their fire trucks and
Yeah.
stuff too. And then,
their ceilings aren't high enough to lift a box like what's on our trucks either.
they can lift them up enough to get the block in, to keep the box from tipping, but if they need to have something where you have the box all the way up, to do repair parts of the actual framework, if you're rusting and need to start doing some welding on some pieces, you can't do that inside, you can do that outside.
Sounded like their major, like motors and transmission was farmed out.
Yep.
Didn't he say that?
Yep. Yep.
And that's because they live in McCraw.
Yep, their heavy duty stuff is farmed out, and they do, you know, it sounds like their mechanic focuses a lot on their small vehicles.
Yep.
Because
just-
they
But they
do
do
their
all the
city
police-
They do the police cars.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
do the
Department, fire departments.
Yeah, they do a whole lot of different vehicles in there, and they do send a lot of it out to be done. Oh, and then this is, I wanted to show a little bit of the wash bay that they have. This is their wash bay.
And this is similar to Crawford County's wash bay as well.
So, it's held up well. I mean, it's 7 years old now. You start to see a little bit of stuff here and there, you know, from the water, but it's held up very well in my mind, so.
So this is in 4 feet in here.
Also in here too, yes, correct. And that's nice, because then they
No.
get stuff freezing and slipping and stuff like that, so. That was kind of part of the reason with all the foot traffic between the door opening all the time in the winter, freezing in here, and then just the door opening all the time in the mechanics bay. That's when we put the 4 feet in there. We thought it was a good investment, so. There's 2 pits for it, and we actually have a big vacuum truck and pump it out every once in a while. Yeah. And it's a state road. Yeah.
They're talking about the drainage into the pit.
In the pits.
The one thing,
Not sure how tall it is.
How tall is it here?
It was telling Rick the other day, not tall enough.
It's not tall enough.
Not tall enough to get in.
It's tall enough they can get their safety hatch up, but they can't get up. If you gotta work underneath the back end, they can't do it.
You could probably lift them in this.
Yeah, you could probably lift them in this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here you could, yeah.
The pipe.
Because you're not gonna wanna be working on your watches.
Prioritizing stuff and kind of what you're gonna do. When we got the equipment list and we went through it with all the employees, and I remember specifically, and I'm pretty, Dan was sort of a supervisor in the department, and if I think guys can use it, gals can get a tool that can increase our productivity and make us a better unit, I support it. But we got the equipment list and they had in there a floor scrubber, a ride-on floor scrubber. I'm like, you really need to have to ride around on a floor scrubber? $16,000 to ride. I said, how am I going to defend that to my elected officials? And they're going to look through this list that's 2 pages long and every $100 and some thousand of the office chairs, and we bought the lift in there. We got a whole variety of stuff, and they're going to see this right away, and they're going to say, well, and we got the one, and we're due to replace it now, but that thing goes out every Friday. We're religious. You see how clean the floors are.
You tell somebody to mop this, and I'll tell you.
And I was,
You're gonna hear it.
I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I said, okay, once they got that thing here, we moved in and demoed one. I saw the light pretty quick. But I mean, looking at the list, so that's just something too where it's just an example from my experience of something that if I don't understand the job they're trying to do or things, that's when I try and ask good questions of my supervisors, or even try and find my employees and say, well, how do you do this? Or what's wrong with the way we do this? So that's just something, an example of when we moved into the building of, it's relatively costly, but if we didn't have that, this building would not look anything like it does now.
You'd also have.
And I know they don't wash their vehicles, and
So
after 5 years, you can tell
just
when
the
the vehicle
things
has
that they found out, and it just, they had their employees involved in every aspect of it, which I think is really good, and we've had a lot of input from the employees on what we need too. And I think it's really good how they have a schedule too, that once a month the entire building is cleaned. I mean, they're so proud of this building. And even though it's how many years old now, everything is just, looks so good. And part of it is because it's been supported with the machines. They also, they really stress that having all the employees under one roof, they felt that it was more efficient, and that there weren't the accountability issues that they had before when they were all separated around. They really want the public to be proud of this facility also. And they talked about how they funded it. And he said that this one was funded through general obligation bonds, and sewer and water paid an extra $1 million to it for 2 years, I think. So they had figured out how it was going to be paid for out into the distance.
It's a 20-year bond.
20-year bond, was it? Okay. We talked about the public and the council owning their budget cuts, and how budgets have to be cut, and then they talked again about how they didn't have to replace 2 staff when they were done because the building was more efficient than it used to be.
It's a very good summary, because it was an 8-hour day.
It was, but I mean, I really wanted to bring it forward so that before we forget about everything that we saw, that we talk about it. And then like when they were talking about equipment, we have 3 motor graders, 12 tandem dump trucks and snow plows. We have a chloride truck. We have 19 pickups. We have 15 miscellaneous tractors, equipment, loaders. That was all in that thing that the big booklet you gave us from last year. And we have 12 trailers, these are all equipment that we have that we wanna maintain and, you know, make last the best and treat it well. Anybody have any other comments on it? Dana, you took lots of notes.
Yeah, you did take good
Yeah,
notes.
I took some notes, yeah. I didn't bring them with me, though. I didn't know we were gonna talk about it. But,
Sorry. You should bring your notes too. We should keep all this together
And
because
we, I mean, you could bring it up next time too, if you think of other things that you wrote down that, you know, cause we were
I
kind of.
know one thing I wrote about the Unalaska one, I thought the rooms are pretty small and the offices were small.
The offices were small.
That was one comment I made.
It seemed kind of choppy.
If
how they
that
did
hallway
it.
we went in last there was just like
Yeah.
compartmentalized a lot.
And they also have security at their door where people have to buzz in. And I like the Crawford County one better, where people could walk in and then there was a window there, so they were more, I thought, people-friendly than the Unalaska one. You had to buzz just to get inside the door of the building. But they said that they'd had a lot of trouble with, like salesmen wandering all over the.
walking around the
Salesmen
building.
love to walk in the door and just
Help
walk around the
themselves,
site.
yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, that can be a liability issue also,
Oh, yes.
because if you're working on equipment, you don't realize there's a salesman that came out there. You know, so I thought the walk-in, check-in kind of system that Crawford had was good, but they had, parts of their stuff was wasted space a little bit too, you know, like just big areas, but then again, on Alaska's space, they turned into a hallway, which this just opened up the, you know, it's probably not a lot of difference than having a hallway, except you have more open area, which is a benefit when you're looking at that type of office.
Open area is a lot more flexible as far as moving people around in the future.
Right, that's
You know, if
true.
you add someone, you can put them in that open space, where if you have offices, it's sharing offices with two people.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think it was a really good learning experience, and I'm looking forward to, you know,
The
seeing
next
more
3.
places and, you know, comparing what one place has to another, and then coming back and discussing it, because we need to talk about what our needs are and what we're seeing out there as things that are good, that we don't need, that we do need. It was a very informative tour, and I'm really glad that Sheila thought to videotape it, because that gave us
So
the
Justin,
opportunity.
you could see all 8 hours if you want to while you're up at night.
Yeah.
But it
As long as
was,
you're awake.
it was really interesting, you know, and then if we have someone go with and tape it, it gives us the ability to go back and look at it and remember things and write things down. Because it was hard to keep track of writing things down because you're trying to listen to everything they have to say. It was a huge learning experience.
It was a long day, a long commitment for everyone. I appreciate it all going. And
I did get a call from a resident saying he was very impressed that we did that though, that we actually looked at things, you know.
So we'll continue.
So that was a good thing to hear.
And, you know, maybe if we can get in another day before winter hits, you know, and they're busier in their
yeah,
I think we have some buildings in the town that we could look at similar
Yeah.
to that, some of the implement dealers and stuff like that.
yeah, we can get
And
into
some
more
farmers,
something
we could
that
look
Justin
at,
did, like maybe the
a lot of what I seen in
events or-
that tour is I seen in similar construction and when
Okay.
Justin and I took our earlier tour.
Yeah, we want to
It's
see
all-
those too,
yeah.
and we want to, and like I said, I
the
had
hoists
this person
and
call
stuff.
me twice about looking at Canton, so told him we would.
Yeah, and that, we had talked about that too as another tour. It's just if we would have gone to Canton and then around,
Yep, yep.
it would have added weight.
Canton's similar to the city of
Of
Caledonia
Caledonia,
and
I
stuff, and
figured
that's why,
that
you know,
too,
it's
from the
another-
way,
you know, it's half an hour over, half an hour back.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely
We
go there.
can
The
do
only
that.
difference is Canton's is longer. I believe they have
Mhm.
6 spaces instead of 4, and it's built
Yeah, I don't
10
know.
years ago
I just,
versus-
like I said,
yeah.
he's very insistent that we at least look.
Yep.
So, that's good. I
So
like
I-
it when I get calls about things, you know.
And even if we look at doing it not on a Tuesday, you know, if that got to be too long a day or we have too many things going on, we can, you know, look at our calendars and try and plan for another time and then see when, you know, we can set it up. I mean, if you want to coordinate with Brian about the places that you and Dana went so that you know, everyone can tour them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easy, we can set it up even right now. You've got, well, like Caledonia Implement, the SEMA equipment, Caledonia Haulers, like all of those big equipment places would be maybe a place to start here in the area, you know, and then if you guys wanted to go to Canton or something, so if you got, you know, line those up for sure.
What we had for time, we had, Caledonia was about half an hour in that building. The other two facilities, about an hour is what we were at those. So, you know, if you figure, you know, maybe 45 minutes for each of those buildings, or, you know, probably would be a good.
Do a
amount of time.
local tour.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and maybe we even want to look at seeing if we can still line something up like next Tuesday, because we don't have department head. I don't know what your schedule's like.
Yeah.
Are the rest of you guys for a Tuesday in the afternoon?
I have a 3 o'clock meeting, but for Human Services.
Well, and if we're in the area, we could start at noon and, you know, if they're close by, that's like 3 hours.
Start with the close ones and if Teresa has to
Right, and then if
bug out
Teresa has
one,
to
sure.
bug out, then we can,
Yeah.
we
Well,
can
and Sheila
videotape
does
it and she
videotape
can.
it.
I
she
believe
can
all we
look-
have for appointments are what Tess has on there and then finance update.
Okay,
So we could either be
do
done
it.
by
Probably
10:30.
go by
Yeah.
10, yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Should we plan on that? Is your calendar clear?
I'm clear, yeah.
Okay. So,
Do you want me to call them up, or do you want
Yeah,
to call
why
them
don't you?
up? Or-
Yeah.
Okay,
Get it
so
all
this-
lined
Which
up
one are we
there.
gonna do?
okay, and
Are
then.
those the
SEMA?
2 places you went to when you toured?
We just went to a couple farmers that
We
asked
didn't
us to
go
come
to-
over to see their shops, but
Okay.
they're small shops, but, and we could talk to them too, but, you know, we've got enough here right in the Caledonia area that we can get a
I
good
think
feel
you
for
see
some
enough
heavy
in
equipment.
Caledonia.
Sounds
some
good.
Repair places.
Maybe
Okay,
do
so we'll
those-
plan on next
Maybe
week?
those 3 in Mindot's facility here in Caledonia at the same time?
In the what facility?
Oh,
Mindot's.
Mindot's.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, it's
Yeah,
right in
that'd be a
town.
good one.
And then
Midnight.
if we had time, we could do that trip over to Canton and back.
If we have time, yeah, we can make
You
that
know.
decision that day.
Yeah.
I'm
You
the
know-
one that has to see Canton, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I
What
have
if-
one person that's very focused on it.
Well, and you'll be able to see it
Um,
if you're not there.
I could actually go
on-
anytime.
On that disc, there is pictures from Canton,
Oh, good, okay.
so you can
Well,
see.
anyway, we'll plan on
Well-
next Tuesday, our second tour.
And if we start at 10:30, even 11 o'clock, that's 4 hours.
That's
You-
enough.
You should be able to get quite a few.
Mhm.
You know, if you
Yeah,
don't
pretty
get to
local.
Canton, we don't,
Pack
but
a
we're
lunch.
local, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That worked good, not stopping for a lunch anywhere.
Lunch on the run.
Lunch on the run.
They just got Subway and I
Yeah.
already had packed, so it's Judy too, I think.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's plan on it for next week then. Because the following week will be department head again.
Said Holler, SEMA, and,
Say that again?
No, the
Caledonia
next one's
of-
not department head, the
Caledonia,
next one is.
he's asking which ones you want to.
Department head is the 28th.
yeah, no, locations.
Oh, yeah,
Caledonia
right.
Full
Implement is,
meeting for the
Yep.
21st.
21st is a full day,
Yeah,
okay.
we've got a lot.
And talk to haulers and talk to SEMA
I have
and.
a
Yep.
candidate debate that night against Kim.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm gonna see what I can find now.
And if someone else wants to, you know, lead the discussion on the next ones or
Sure.
whatever, I just,
You're pretty good
I
at
wanted
summarizing
to,
it for us, so.
I wanted to make sure we covered as many points as we could while we talked about it.
You want Sheila to videotape it?
Yes, we do.
That really helped. And Dana can bring his notes.
Yep.
All
I'd
right.
appreciate if you wouldn't videotape me so much, so.
Like girls that maybe sharpen
Sure. Be happy to. What? He said it, otherwise I could tape it.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
be happy to.
Okay.
She'll be focusing on flower beds, so. Shara has a knack for that. Any other business to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.